As I report to you, air attacks are underway against military targets in Iraq.
Paano nga ba nagsimula ang Gulf War noong 1990? Or commonly known as Persian Gulf War. Iraqi President Saddam Hussein ordered the invasion and occupation of neighboring Kuwait in early August 1990. Alarmed by these actions, fellow Arab powers such as Saudi Arabia, Egypt, called on the United States and other Western nations to intervene. Hussein defied United Nations Security Council demands to withdraw from Kuwait by mid-January 1991. And because of that action by Saddam Hussein, the Persian Gulf War started. But before we proceed, if you are not yet subscribed to my channel, please click the subscribe button and smash the notification bell so that you will be updated with our next upload. Because Saddam Hussein ignored the demands of the United Nations Security Council, US President George H.W. Bush immediately condemned the invasions, as did the governments of Britain and the Soviet Union. On August 3, the United Nations Security Council called for Iraq to withdraw from Kuwait. 3 days later, King Fahd met with U.S. Secretary of Defense Richard Dick Cheney to request U.S. military assistance. On August 8, the day on which the Iraqi government formally annexed Kuwait, Hussein called its Iraqi 19th province. The first U.S. Air Force fighter planes began arriving in Saudi Arabia as part of a military build-up dubbed Operations Desert Shield. The planes were accompanied by troops sent by NATO allies as well as Egypt and several other Arab nations, designed to guard against a possible Iraqi attack on Saudi Arabia. In Kuwait, Iraqi increased its occupation forces to some 300,000 troops. In an effort to garner support from the Muslim world, Hussein declared a jihad or holy war against the coalition. He also attempted to ally himself with the Palestinian cause by offering to evacuate Kuwait in return for an Israeli withdrawal from unoccupied territories. When these efforts failed, Hussein concluded a hasty peace with Iran so as to bring his army up to full strength. On November 29, 1990, the UN Security Council authorized the use of all necessary means of force against Iraq if it did not withdraw from Kuwait by the following January 15. By January, the coalition forces prepared to face off against Iraq numbered some 750,000, including 540,000 US personnel and smaller forces from Britain, France, Germany, the Soviet Union, Japan, Egypt, and Saudi Arabia, among other nations. Iraq, for its part, had the support of Jordan, another vulnerable neighbor, Algeria, the Sudan, Yemen, Tunisia, and the Palestinian Liberation Organization, or we called it PLO. Early morning of January 17, 1991, a massive US-led air offensive hit Iraq's air defenses, moving swiftly onto its communications network, weapons plants, oil refineries, and more. The coalition efforts known as Operation Desert Storm benefited from the latest military technology, including stealth bombers, cruise missiles, so-called smart bombs, with laser guidance systems in infrared night bombing equipment. The Iraqi Air Force was either destroyed early or opted out of combat under the relentless attack, the objective of which was to win the war in the air and minimize combat on the ground as much as possible. By mid-February, the coalition forces had shifted the focus of their air attacks towards Iraqi ground forces in Kuwait and southern Iraq. A massive Allied ground offensive, Operation Desert Sabr, was launched on February 24 with troops heading from northeastern Saudi Arabia into Kuwait and southern Iraq. Over the next 4 days, coalition forces encircled and defeated the Iraqis and liberated Kuwait. At the same time, US forces stormed into Iraq some 120 miles west of Kuwait, attacking Iraq's armored reserves from the rear. The elite Iraqi Republican Guard mounted a defense south of al-Barsra in southeastern Iraq, but most were defeated by February 27, 1991.
Combat forms the closest bonds between men. You are dependent for your life on the man on your left, the man on your right, the guy behind you. And you know that if you get in trouble, either one of these guys or the one behind you would lay down his life for yours.